Okay, so this happened to me just a few weeks ago. I was gonna be helping out a group in my community empty out an old abandoned house. No one had lived in it for 30 years, but the last person who did was a man named Dale Fredrickson. I heard that he lived in that house for most of his life, but rarely ever came out. He never had anyone else live with him either. He died in the house from a heart attack at the age of 92. That was all that anyone knew about him. I found this strange, and I tried to do some researching on him or the house, but I didn't really find anything. On the day of cleanout, I was kind of excited because I had grown up living just a block away from the house. I never knew what the inside looked like, and I always wanted to know. It was the biggest and oldest house in the neighborhood. As I walked in, I didn't get the feeling of amazement like I expected. As soon as I took a step into the house, I got the strongest sense of dread that I've ever felt. The inside of the house felt eerie and dark, which was strange because it was the middle of the day and there were quite a few big windows. As we were hauling out some furniture and other things, I saw a shelf, and on it was a suitcase. It caught my attention because the shelf was far less dusty than anything else in the house. It had almost no dust on it. I felt an even stronger sense of dread as soon as I saw it. I stared at it for what seemed like hours, until my curiosity got the best of me. As I went over to open it, I could have sworn someone said my name, but all of the group members were outside taking a break. Right after, both of my ears started ringing pretty loudly. I hesitated to open the case when I started to think to myself, it's just a coincidence. Stop being so paranoid. I then opened the suitcase, and I was very surprised to find a VHS tape inside, especially since there was no TVs in the house, and no one had been in the house for 30 years. It had no labels on it, and it had very little tape in it. That night, I tried playing it on my VHS player at home, but it just wouldn't play. I tried burning it onto a CD just for the hell of it. I didn't actually think it would work, but to my surprise, it did. On the screen, it told me there was 7 hours left until it was done burning. It had to be a mistake. There was barely any tape on the VHS. I didn't want to deal with it then. It was late, and I was tired, so I just let it burn overnight. The next morning, my TV screen told me it was done burning, and the disc was ejected. I took it out and started to walk towards my computer to play it. I didn't use the TV's DVD player because it was partly broken and it only played things in black and white. After I put the disc into my computer, it restarted itself, which wasn't supposed to happen. It was then when I got that eerie feeling again. After I logged back in, there was a folder with an AVI file in it. It was the only thing in the folder. It must have came from the disc. The strange thing was, any other time I put discs into my computer, it doesn't save video files onto my computer. But the even stranger part was it was already named. It was named 99Television.avi. I don't know how this is possible, because neither my TV or the DVD player can name things, and my computer's default name was Untitled. I clicked on the video to play it when my computer restarted itself again, but when I logged back in, 99 Television just started playing without me pressing a button. It began with TV color calibration bars, along with the high-pitched ring. The same pitch my ears were ringing at when I was in the house. There's a timestamp at the bottom of the video, which stays there throughout the entire thing. After the color bars, there was just a black or very dark gray screen, which appeared to have some sort of static with it. It's just this for about 5 seconds, and then it changes just a little bit. The static is more visible, and tilts to the side, sort of. Right when this happens, there's a low-pitched buzzing sound, followed by a very strange and creepy, echoey-like sound, which I couldn't figure out for sure what it was, but it sounded like a large group of people talking or shouting, but it was very distorted. I heard interference start also, but it all abruptly ended with a loud screeching or ringing kind of sound. After that, it was just black. Just for a second, though. When more interference starts. I couldn't tell if it was my speakers or if it was the video. I now know it was the video. It just stays doing that for about 30 seconds or so, when a white, blurry video suddenly appears. I couldn't make out what was in the video, but it's just some black, blurry, blobby things, and they were moving in a kind of a beating motion. It's kind of hard to explain. Just the sound of interference was playing the entire time. The white, blurry video didn't last long. It was only about maybe 12 or 15 seconds long. Then it just cut to black again. All of a sudden, loud static appears on the screen. It scared the shit out of me. But then I realized it's not moving smoothly. It's almost like it's just digital pictures of static, put together one after the other. I thought I could make out something in the static, like something moving in the background. But maybe it's just me. I couldn't keep track of how long this lasted. It seemed like hours for me, but it was probably just a few minutes. But I do remember that it got even stranger after that static. It cut to black with more interference sounds. But there was also this clicking or banging in the background. I was so confused at this point. I wanted to turn it off, but continued watching. After this, there's more interference. But it was a lot different this time. In fact, I don't even know if it was interference. I can't really explain this noise any more than electronic sounding, I guess. But along with it was this picture of what looked something like outer space with a distorted image sitting in the middle right side. I'm still not fully sure what it is, if anything, but I think it might be a picture of a person. It had little black squares flashing everywhere, almost like film grain, but digital. It changes color a few times and lasts maybe about a minute. The audio along with the strange interference has something mixed in with it that sounds like moaning. After that, I felt like someone was watching me. You're just being paranoid, I thought to myself. The worst part of the whole thing was the last 10 or so seconds, with the same distorted image and the same electronic grain, but this time it was black and white and smaller than before. The audio changed a little, but not much. But it just sounded different. The part that made my heart sink was the Russian writing at the top. I couldn't understand it, but it just made me feel terrible. After I translated it to English, it said, "You have been warned."